Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Phase. This is going to be a 40K based episode where we are going to be reviewing the Varbergs GT in Agusti, Sweden. We're also going to be giving you guys a little bit more of an analytical hot take regarding game point averages in 9th edition 40K on a tournament level. We hope you guys have enjoyed the show so far, and we also wanted to give you guys a special announcement to let you know that we are now on Patreon. So if you guys want to support us, if you guys want to essentially buy us a coffee, do so by going to patreon.com/inyourphase. We have 2 different levels right now, and outside of the typical patron access of getting previews to new content, helping out and deciding what content you might want to see through the use of polls, and unlocking special episodes and articles from us as a patron. You'll also have 2 separate levels that you can choose. Level 1, or the $3 level, gives you access to our Discord, where you can get some initial feedback regarding lists and rules advice for 40K and Age of Sigmar. We have a $5 a month level that also gives you access to a special Discord channel within our server. And with that, that also gives you access to, chatting with us and even possibly being on a couple of streams with us, whether it be an episode or a random live stream or a game that we might be playing in the upcoming future. So, we do hope that you decide to support us if you want. In the meantime, enjoy the show.
I'm just hoping by saying something stupid, some people would smile.
As the warrior poet Ice Cube once said, it is a good day if it doesn't require an AK.
Okay, I don't know if that was his exact words, but hey, we'll go for it. We'll go for it. Hey, and welcome to In Your Phase, everyone. This is going to be Alex, John, Jeremy, and Garrett. John did just walk away for a moment. I'm sure he's got a lot of things. Oh, there he is. We have, oh, he has to get his whiskey. We have a lot to talk about tonight, but before we do so, we're going to talk about phases, as we like to do. And, a lot of people talk about phases and zodiacs. They usually kind of put the same thing together. I personally think it's a lot of, baloney, but, I happen to just fit the perfect, unfortunately, stereotype of a Virgo for the most part, not in the game, but outside of that, everything outside of that. But I just had a birthday, hence me being a Virgo. My birthday was just yesterday on the 31st. This is recorded on Tuesday, the 1st of
Happy 100th
September. Yeah, right. Thank you. I have my twin brother here and his fiance, so we've been hanging out, drinking a lot of booze. I got myself this swanky little, I actually got 3 Hawaiian shirts, ridiculous Hawaiian shirts. And I even got a whole setup. And I haven't posted it online yet, but you guys are going to probably see. I have shorts, green and bright orange, parrot, birds of paradise flower, like silk shorts and a silk, Hawaiian shirt combo. And the moment I opened it up, I was like, this is my new tournament outfit. I'm going to have to wear this. But you just got it. It's just a fit. It's a fit.
From White Claw to Hawaiian shirts. Yep.
I mean, either way. So I got myself a little tequila and mango nectar cocktail right now, but I also have on hand when I'm finished what Jeremy had brought me, some Lagavulin Islay single malt double matured whiskey, batch number LGV.4-508. It is very good whiskey or scotch. So be having that a little later. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And, of course, probably reading over that color theory book too, John. But, we played a game of Seraphon versus Gloomspite Gitz this last weekend. Wasn't able to get the whole game in, but it looked like it was pretty much anyone's game by the end. It was getting close. It was getting close just because of a few fun things that had happened. So be sure to watch the edited version that we will put out a little later. And we have some 40K coming up this weekend. I don't know what it's going to be against what, but if my Necrons get busted out, I got to build some Scorpec destroyers, and I'm going to start making.
It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise. We'll have the initial wave of the synthwave crons coming out, so I'm excited to get them painted up. But that's just what's on my phase, of course. John, what's on your phase?
Hey, Alex, how you doing? First off, I tell you what, that looked like some delightful whiskey. Jeremy, you are the man. He hooked me up with a beautiful bottle of scotch for my birthday, scotch for your birthday. I actually am trying out some of the Kaio Japanese whiskey tonight, only because I've been enjoying that other scotch all weekend. And of course, you guys can see if you're on the video, I am sporting one of my Outer Rims headwear hats.
Yeah.
My other one that I was wearing last time with the sunflowers, my wife actually got a matching one. So we were out and about over the weekend. We actually went to a nice outdoor venue and had some lunch wearing our sunflower hats. I had a beautiful shirt that matched it. I even have a COVID-19 mask that has sunflowers on it. So I was quite stylish. And that may sound silly, but I honestly find that when I dress like that and I go out, people are responsive. People smile at me. People are nice to me. I get better service. Everything about it is a positive experience. So don't be afraid to do that. Other than that, some of you may have tuned in last Wednesday. I did the first Wednesday hobby stream with where I started to build the Primaris Outrider lighted bike. Here's of course the finished one, and of course last week was just the prelude, if you will, where I showed people how to properly clip sprues and most importantly how to remove the mold lines and sprue eyes from your models. In fact, that's what I'm working on. You guys will see me if you're watching the video during the episode. I'll be leaning forward, and the episode's about an hour long, and it's actually enough time for me to clean the mold lines off most of an army here. So, so we're going to be taking care of that. And then, of course, unfortunately, fortunately, you will not know this because our show is going to release on Thursday or Friday of this week. So it'll be in the past. I'll have now done the first episode where I ran the wiring, and now I'm telling you about the next episode, which is actually 2 weeks in the future for me, where I will be probably starting to assemble the chassis. I envision about 4 more episodes for me to get through the Outrider. And then, of course, the last thing, I did not get in any 40K or AOS events this weekend. Decided to spend some time with the wife. And honestly, I was a little bummed because this weekend was supposed to be Shark Weekend. So for me, this is the weekend that I would have been TOing a major Age of Sigmar event. I would have probably been hanging out. Maybe Alex wouldn't be here because it's his birthday, but a lot of other friends. See, Alex would have been there. A lot of other friends would have been in town. That would have been in the Central Valley, which is a hotbed of wonderful 40K and Age of Sigmar players. A lot of my teammates. So it was just kind of a little thing. So I decided to get out and have some fun. And so that is what has really been on my workbench this week. Mr. Garrett, I see a beautiful Sisters of Battle image behind you. And I remember last week we were talking about the height of what are those? The penitent engine, the penis engine, the penitent engine. Did you ever figure out which was taller?
Yeah. So I yes, in my phase this week, I started working on.
Turn off the virtual background.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn it off for now. None.
There you go. Oh my God!
I started working these. Let's see. Focus. Yeah, these mortifers. With the nice, wonderful flails and heavy bolters. These nice upgraded heavy bolters eventually to 2 damage. Looking forward to that. I built 2 of these. I have 2 left to build. So I got the leader of the squad, the Arcanite, which gets the +1 save in the squad, and just a normal dude. I decided to actually bust out my penitent engine and look at, because we were wondering, because I noticed. So these guys are on a 60 mil, and these guys they downgraded to a 50 mil for once, and I was like, what? GW went down a base size as we were discussing last time, and so I was wondering what the actual size difference between the two. And they're relatively the same size. They didn't get, they're a little taller because of their nice headgear they got. They're about the same width. I think these guys are a little wide. Their legs are definitely bigger. So these guys got these big ass legs, while these guys got these little.
So here's the question: can the old one fit on the 50 mil base, or just like do the toe sticker?
I mean, these guys flat out they fill out.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Like, there is no way in hell I'm going to fit these guys on a 50 mil.
You're cutting and pinning at that point.
Yeah. So I'll have to figure out what to do with my 3 metal penitent engines. If Jeremy had his way, I'd probably melt them down.
Right.
Sell them and buy plastic ones.
Use them for musket bullets in your colonial era militia or some shit. You goddamn Virginian.
Okay.
My Civil War reenactment that I got to join.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Don't shoot until you see the white of their pewter.
I like that. I like that. Oh my god.
So yeah, I built those two guys. Spent some time working on that in the evenings, and then me and the wife have actually started doing some world building for D&D. So we got this program called World Anvil. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a fairly popular program. Yeah. So we started playing around with it, and like my wife has just been going nuts building this custom world. Like nobody's played in it yet. She wants to run a D&D campaign, so she has been going nuts just building out her own custom world. And I decided to actually for once get organized and shit. And so I run multiple campaigns, but I don't really write a lot of stuff down. I gotta just play off the cuff a lot. So I decided that I'll actually write down a lot of my shit. And
I could actually see you and Sarah as a power couple, like DMing together, like the two of you as a GM DM team. Wow, that would be some amazing adventures.
Yeah, so
artistic ability and creativity. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, actually, so I had this program for making maps, Wonder Draft, and I suck at it. And my wife is great at it.
Your wife, the geologist, is good at making maps.
Not geologist. She's a geographer.
Oh, a geographer. Not even a geologist.
Even more.
Geographer. Geography.
Yeah.
Got it. Good at maps. I bet she's the best at maps, actually.
Yeah. So,
everyone tells her she's the best at math.
I kind of want to hear Garrett like do like a goblin voice, like, because as a DM you have to get you have to do voices. It's kind of a requirement. Ooh. Come on, hit me up, Garrett. Hit me up with your best goblin voice.
If we decide to maybe do some content for some extra viewers, and they want to do some D&D stuff or hear random shit. So here's the map my wife made.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I approve.
Just go away. Just go away.
Yeah, I'll just go away.
Man, that like instantly my mind wants stories on those continents.
Dude, this looks pretty cool because unfortunately a lot of maps, whether it's Warhammer Fantasy, whether it's like Game of Thrones, they all just like end up at the end of the day being like a loose like anagram to like Earth. So it seems like real goofy, or just Europe itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool. I like it.
It looks it looks like the original map of EverQuest actually.
Oh shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It looks like actually, a Tonica, Fidwar, and Timur's Deep. Yeah. Yeah.
This actually looks a lot like the original World of Warcraft map. Now that I think about it.
I see that the big continent on your stage left. That one reminds me of
That's where the action is. Right there in the big dot in the middle, right? That's where all the fun is going to happen.
Yeah, that's actually where Sarah's capital city is,
where
where everything's going to take place. And then my stuff, we actually decided to be in the same world because so my stuff's right here going on.
It's next to a volcano, Garrett. You're next to a volcano. I think she set you up.
Yeah.
I just want him to start doing the weatherman thing, you know?
Yeah. So,
Climate change is a real problem in that continent.
a cold front coming down from the north. So yeah, so that's what I've been working on a bunch. A lot of fun. So yeah, that I think Jeremy and we played a game this last week, right? A 40K.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So then I played a game on TTS with Jeremy, and that was educational.
No.
Oh, fucking hardly.
Should I ask who win, or should I say how much did Jeremy beat you by?
It was trying. We're trying to figure.
Why don't you go talk about your phase now, Jeremy?
Yeah, fair. Okay. All right. So, firstly, I want to say that the whiskey was only half the gift to Alex. The other half of the gift was 9 unbuilt pterodons, because they've been kind of like,
Thank you.
gold.
Those are so
They've been hard to
find.
find. And honestly, it's because I just want him to fucking play some pterodons in his list, because I think they're important. But secondly, what's on my face? I've been painting up my squids. So I'm gonna go with like a rainbow theme. Like every squid is gonna be a different color. So we're gonna go for that. And then I want to just say, fly my monkeys. So we're gonna go with that. So I think the paint scheme for the actual goblins is gonna look like the evil monkeys from Allison, not Allison, one of mine.
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
That's tight.
That's just how that army plays and feels like to me.
Don't tell our friend Willow that you're gonna make rainbow squigs, because she's just gonna get upset, because that's
Wow, she'll probably get excited. She'll probably have like.
It's not an original idea. Like there's a ton of armies of rainbow squids.
Of rainbow squigs?
Yeah, if you type in like painted squids, like I bet you in the first 3 pictures you'll see at least one. So I played obviously Alex on Sunday. I really enjoyed my Gloomspite list, and I'm probably gonna play it for a bit more longer too. Between that and Lumineth, I really enjoyed them. I played Garrett for a game of 40K on TTS, and that was also educational for me. I'm guessing in a very different way than Garrett took it. It was Harlequins versus Orcs, and Harlequins are very busted, and how I can tell is because everybody who's looking to buy secondhand models right now on Facebook are all trying to buy bloody Harlequins, which is hilarious. Because that army went from like nowhere to be seen to like all of a sudden like, oh, I gotta play Harlequin.
Oh really? I have a lot of Harlequins. Maybe I should sell them.
There you go.
Ooh.
Maybe it's just like confirming my bias, but I see a lot of people looking for purchasing Harlequins right now. So, that's I love to hear it, because Harlequins has been like one of my favorite army. In fact, I have a tattoo of a solitaire on my arm, so
nice.
It's a solitaire rune. So it's for me, it's great that they're good, but also at the same time, like, please don't play my army. I want to be my low special snow.
I want to be my snow. Yeah, I get that. Hey,
Are they still fine cast, or are they plastic nowadays?
No, they're all plastic now. They're 100% plastic. They're great model kits too. But I'm looking forward to this week. I'm going to be participating in Garrett's TTS event, COVID-19 Age of Sigmar event, starting next Sunday. I don't think we're going to be streaming the games, but we could, I guess. I don't know. I don't really think about that. But I'm probably going to play Lumineth, because it's time I can start getting some real practice in an army that I actually want to play in a tournament. So,
oh no.
What were you going to say, Garrett? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I was just going to say pairings go up on Sunday, but round 1 technically starts on Monday.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm just going to be there at 6 p.m. refreshing my app. Come on. Who am I playing? There's a few people I really wish would join this event. Greg! So I can finally get to
Greg
actually
still
play
hasn't joined yet? Oh.
So I can finally get to play this asshole. And then I'm playing some European player on Friday, another AOS game for a practice round for her. So that should be exciting. I don't know. I feel like I'm actually getting back into like a groove of actually playing AOS and 40K, and that's exciting to me. But On one real workbench I sent my kits, Carl Payne is finishing up my Profis, and they're looking fucking amazing. And he will submit them for Armies in Parade. So that I'm really looking forward to see if they get posted up on Warhammer Community for winning. But we'll see. All right, Alex.
I gotta ask you real quick. When you say that you're gonna get squigs that are, of course, of the rainbow variety, there's a couple of different angles that could mean. Do you mean something like this?
No.
Oh, you mean something then like...
Are you talking Skittles? Am I going to be looking at Skittles?
You're thinking of something
table?
like this,
yes.
right?
Yes. I'm thinking...
Okay.
I'm basically saying, I have all these contrast colors. Let me just slap them all in different squigs, and I get a rainbow... Taste of rainbow squids, I guess, if you want to call them.
That's a great idea. I mean, if you think about it, squigs absolutely lend themselves to contrast paints, right? You're gonna hit them with the what is it? Probably the bone, right? So what is that? Rathbone?
Yeah.
Hit them with the rathbone. Put the skeleton one on the teeth and the eyes, and then boom, dunk the rest in colors. You're done on those bad boys.
So
that's basically it.
It's funny that we talk about squigs, and we had that game with your squigs against my knights. I noticed that with Spokane's 40K community, AOS community, they Bob Kelly, who runs Gamers Haven, recently had a move to their store. I hope he's doing real well. Bob, if you're listening, good job with everything you're doing. But someone made him, or commissioned, painted, and converted for him one of those giant squigs, one of the Forge World colossal squigs, but painted it like Godzilla and added green stuff, ridges on the back, just like Godzilla. And he's like a huge kaiju movie fan, like Toho movie monster, like Toho Godzilla era fan. And his house, back when I saw his old place, and he had a lot of Godzilla stuff there too, just like further adding credence to his like love for kaiju films. And I was trying to be like, oh, is this it? Is this how we get him to actually start playing Age of Sigmar and not just a bunch of 40K? Like, let's do it! Like, because in 40K he's got like a demon army or corn army. I know that, but then he loved to use his like in 7th at least. He loved to use his like nothing but monsters. So it was like a bunch of Defilers and Mauler Fiends and like a Khitan and like a fucking Brass Scorpion. It was like, oh shit.
How is he not a natural for Seraphon then, or one of the other big monster lists in AOS?
He's never been. He's tainted from the 8 days of Warhammer Fantasy. He really hated the Warhammer Fantasy players on average.
To be fair,
basically tell him that Warhammer Fantasy players hate AOS.
I know.
They're a whole bunch of grognards. We don't have them anyways.
It's funny. It's funny. I was looking at like today during work. I was also reviewing like tutorial or get started with AOS videos that like I approved of, that were like newbie friendly, like opinions that I thought were okay, and like stuff like that. And I was watching them just to show like my brother, and somebody, or actually in Haywo's intro video to Age of Sigmar, not the faction one, but just the intro overall, he goes like, fantasy. He explains fantasy and end times and AOS, and he explains like AOS players, like it's almost rare not to see 3-color minimum on a model, and people are good hobbyists, and people like you definitely have people who are competitive, but most people who are competitive have that like pet army that they really love, and they will try their best to make work no matter what. And then there will be people who chase the meta, but not very much. And then he also mentioned, he was like, oh, and all those real talking people I talked about with 8th edition, don't worry, they either moved on to shittier games or burned their armies. So it was like they either moved on to 9th Age or burned their armies. And I was like, that's fun. Oh.
Do you want to show up? I want you to show the audience your skink knights. I think that's cool.
Oh, they are okay, so they're not fully done yet, because I found on eBay, the night we played, I found on eBay that a guy was selling 10 skinks, and he just advertised them as skinks. Like it was like one of those situations where someone orders them and then finds out that they're not really copacetic with like the base, and they would get upset. Oh. But he was selling 8 or 10 skink riders that are only on pterodons. And the skink riders that are riding pterodons fit a cold one, every single cold one variant perfectly. So I have.
So wait, so it like accidentally worked out to be exactly what you need?
Yeah, so it ended up being exactly what I needed, and it was only for like $10. So it was like either make me an offer or bid. So I just made him an offer on his minimum bid because it was like almost done. And I was like, come on, man, no one's bidding on this. Just give me it. So
I love that stuff. It's funny. I think we all hit eBay up pretty regularly, and there's like, you know, you see that army, and there's a couple things you're gonna go for. Like if you buy sprues, you're just looking for a discount, right? A lot of times I'll buy stuff that's been assembled but not painted because I know that at least I can go clean up the mold lines. And I swear to you, I have been screwed by painted models so many times. It's like every time I tell myself, oh, it only has one picture, you better not buy that. And you get that view, and sure enough, like it's literally painted only from one direction and the backside is, you know, melted or something like that. I've had some ridiculous stuff happen. I had this one rhino I bought that the guy, you know, showed it and it looked beautiful from the front angle with all the paint jobs, but then the tracks actually wrapped around like the outside of the hull on the back. It was pretty wild.
Dude, that is wild. Oh, that also reminds me, not to toot anyone's horn here, but you know what? I can't find it, so I'm just going to give a shout out real quick too. Carl Payne, good friend of the podcast, teammate, painted Jeremy's Imperial Fists. He's got a great killer army. We talk about, I feel like every other episode we talk about Carl. He gave me some 3D printing. Well. What's up?
He just paints really well.
Yeah. Well, I've been commissioning him to 3D print a bunch of stuff for me, and he gave me a bunch of skink shields with spears attached to them, so I can get my blowpipes, like attach it on their backs and just be like, sweet, now they can get spears whenever they want. But here's the answer to your question.
Does he have like a one of those resin printers, so it's like the nice stuff? Wow, those are
this
great.
Is not going to autofocus, but this is a skink
I can
sheet.
see it. I can
see
it.
I mean? On the older cold one.
Wow, that's great.
This is what we mean. And then I only had a finite amount of that level, of that style, so I have the regular current one with drums, and then I converted a skink with some like little mallets to be like, he's drumming on that shit.
I'm gonna send Alex a flesh-colored notebook or something like that he can put.
I have one. In fact, I'm actually gonna get a little blue. I'm gonna get a green screen that like fits fully over my chair. I'm gonna do one of those like game streamer things, so I can just do this and not have to worry about it.
Nice.
But yeah, actually, the skink thing that you had talked, that Jeremy had mentioned, of course, and I had just shown, this is actually an old homage to what were they called? The Dogs of War mercenaries that you can have in Warhammer Fantasy. You know, there was like the regiments were known. There was the undead faction, or the undead like skeleton mercenaries, like a Lizardman one and an Orc one and all that shit. And there were the Knights of the Blazing Sun were a mercenary group too. Which were, they're an Empire unit in Total War Warhammer, but they're a mercenary in other things. And one of the mercenary units was just a bunch of cold ones and skinks riding them. So, it was way old, way back in the day. So this is a little homage that I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna have skinks riding them.
But they were called the Dogs of War?
No. Dogs of War was a faction of mercenaries. So
I see, I get it. Because it caught my ear. That Dogs of War was I don't know if you guys remember Warhammer Online. Yeah, that was the name of the guild that I ran with in Warhammer.
Oh shit!
Was Dogs of War. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, the actual unit though in Warhammer Fantasy was called Titchy. Let's see, Titchy Hitchy's Raiders. Yeah, very Warhammer Fantasy, very old school Warhammer.
Could have called it Montezuma's Revenge. Don't worry about it.
Could have called it Montezuma's Revenge. Who knows?
Well have.
Oh, also, hey, that actually reminds me. I've been pronouncing Kotal's Claw totally incorrect. That is not how you pronounce Kotal. Quetzalcoatl is also not how you pronounce Quetzalcoatl. So because Coatl means snake, or Kotal means snake in not like Aztec, but like pre-Aztec. It starts with an H. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not going to try. But yeah, it's more like Qual, like Qual Claw.
Well, I mean,
Boss
that's like
Claw.
getting into where they're not called Aztecs either, right? What are they actually called? See, now I open my mouth and I don't remember the name. It's
Push with an X. But it's the ZO.
Trains left the station and went off the rails.
I'm sorry. It's been a while since I listened to History on Fire with where they talked about that. So
Yeah. Well, we can definitely talk about history, but I think that might be for something at a later date. We, of course, are here to talk about a lot of Warhammer, specifically tournament review we want to look over. There weren't a lot of events that happened this weekend. Again, like John said, Shark Tank didn't happen. Breaks my fucking heart because I was going to do Shark Tank and then Nova 2 weekends in a row. Jamie was going to get real pissed off, but it was be my birthday kind of week and week after. So
play it.
Yeah, it is what it is. But there was this event, and it was Varbergs GT that was this last weekend in Agusti, Sweden. So it was across the pond. There were a lot of events in the United States and in other countries as well. This happened to be the biggest event that at least we could find in any of the fashions and areas, and it was in fact exactly where John is showing. So you guys can all check that out. This event was really, really interesting. You can take a look. It was all recorded in Best Coast pairings. There were a few rules, and I actually got to give it to John. John, not only, John, if you guys remember our Wide World of Wargaming episodes, he always made sure to really look through every single part of the packet. And in this case, if you go and you look for the packet, or you go into Best Coast pairings and you see the initial rules, well, it's all in Swedish. So, John took the painstaking task of translating all of the rules into English, and there's some interesting stuff and actually some pretty fun verbiage there. John, what were some of the kind of takeaways that you have from this event's initial rule packet?
Sure. Well, as folks may know, I used to be very into aquariums back in the day, in particular, raising little shrimps and stuff like that. And all the best aquarium websites were always in German. So many years ago, we didn't really have Google Translate and that stuff. So I got actually really good at translating German to English and kind of understanding these websites. And that helped me in no way, shape, or form with Swedish, because the languages are so totally different. And instead, nowadays, I have the wonderful tool of Google Translate, which first off, because of the name of the place, if you look there, the county is actually Holland, H-A-L, and I thought this was in Holland. So I'm looking up for a Dutch translator. Anyways, as we look at this packet, there's some pretty interesting stuff. Now, first off, they talk about right off the bat, we want to make sure to take our social responsibility and protect ourselves and others. So we will make some adjustments and clarification. We're setting the maximum number of participants to 50. Okay, 50 people. So they must have had some space if they're spreading out and still allowing for 50 people. And it goes on to say, of course, you should not show you have any symptoms of the flu. We cannot arrange for lunch or meals, but we have lots of coffee for you. Use your own dice. And right here, there will be lots of rubbing alcohol to use. Now, it doesn't say that that's necessarily to clean your hands or anything. So, if you maybe want to just give one of your teammates or one of your opponents a rub down, I suppose that was allowed as well. I mean, it is the northern countries there. Now, here's some interesting rules that, okay, so first off, when you win, first prize, it's eternal glory and fame. Eternal glory and fame. Now, painting, it just says, according to the new missions, 10 points are obtained if everything is painted. And then they have the big rules. And you guys are going to love these. If you haven't read this yet, this is amazing. First off, no borrowed models. You have to own the models yourself.
Well, this immediately couldn't exist in the United States.
Yeah. Next. No ugly conversion.
Damn. I'm not going to say a single other thing other than that.
Next, be sure to base your models. Then, no counts as. If you have a conversion, check with the TO. You do not have to be a pro at painting, but a little effort to get the army painted is desired.
So it's contrast paint exists, don't fuck this up. Do it.
Right? So there's some other stuff. No index, no legends. They allow Forge World, 2,000 points, random match, draw, completely random. What we will, of course, try to avoid drawing outside of clubs and friends against each other in the first match and possibly the second match. Now, that's pretty much built into BCP for the first round, isn't it, Garrett? But not the second round. Is that correct?
Correct. In case my mic decided to turn down again, I'll just yell that one at you guys.
Excellent. Hey, did you guys get a chance to look at the placings or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, I was able to take a peek. Jeremy, were you able to take a peek?
No.
Okay. Well, this is, of course, a 40K tournament. And, you know, the top three, we do have Christoph Feidler with his Imperium army. We have Highlander. Par? I'm not going to try.
No, you got to do it, Alex. You have already shown an amazing ability. Pair.
I don't know where the A is with the umlaut, so I know a U with an umlaut, but not. Oh, dude, I'm not even gonna try number 3. Fuck that. You're gonna do number 3. John, what is the name? Can you please pronounce number 3?
Bjorn Hawkinson. Bjorn Hawkinson.
I want to point out, though, I did look at the scores, but from a master data perspective for global weekend events for 40K.
Ooh,
okay.
Nice. I did notice that Chris, the winner, who was playing Imperium, had a Salamanders and White Scars list, and it had all the good stuff in there. I opened it up, and the first thing I saw was a captain on a bike, and I'm like, oh, be a bike army. Show me the bike army. And it wasn't a bike army. It's not a bike army. He does have some aggressors, Contemptor Dreadnought. He has a big old block of Devastators with grav cannons, which I found interesting. I don't know if you guys, there's been some leaks, I think, on the from some Japanese model kits of some new rules. I have my eye, because I don't remember, back in the day, there was a time when the grav cannon was the most amazing weapon ever. So I have like 25 magnetized grav cannons that I can put on any of my Devastator type Marines. So I looked at the new rules for the grav cannons, and I tell you what, my Devastator grav cannons are going to walk again. So, but when I look at this list, what I see is a toolkit. He has 3 units of Blade Guard veterans, which was interesting. I see a toolkit. Honestly, I'm not sure that this is like one of those super power lists like you often see out of Death Guard and what have you. What I see is a well-rounded list that is probably played by a highly skilled player. This looks like a skill list to me. So anyways, that was my big takeaway, at least from the winner from that. Now, I noticed there was some other good stuff.
I'll just say that, like, to reiterate what you're saying, if you look at his points, so nobody had 5 wins in a 5-round event. He did lose a game.
Yeah.
But his one loss was 81 points. So he lost in round 5 and got 81 for his loss. So
81 was that was his losing score?
Yeah, his losing score was 81 out of 100. And then he had a 92, an 88, a 95, and a 96. So he's got a lot of high-scoring games. So he must be a skilled player. You get an 81 loss. Let's see, who did he play? He played.
I have yet to win a game with that many points.
Yeah, so he played the Chaos Demon player, Pair, who got 95. So
and
95
that Chaos Demon
last.
player, holy shit! You know, I mean, like, I guess I just don't know it because I haven't fought demons in 9th yet. But you know, it's demons, a Flexmaster, Lord of Change, Poxbringer, Nurglings, Plague Bears, Beasts of Nurgle, and then it's got like an Exalted Flamer, and then Furies. 2 units of 3 Screamers and a unit of fucking Furies. Like,
I think the Furies were just to fill out points.
No, because he has 266 points in reinforcements. He could have used the points for the Furies for more reinforcement. Like, if you're gonna go for summoning, that's. I don't understand why the Furies are there.
Probably just board control. moving up onto, because one of the big things about 9th edition is getting to the middle of the board on turn 1, and so having that speed of just like jump onto the objectives turn 1 with the units.
Oh yeah.
If you can get into turn 2 and still hold those objectives, you then score more primary points. So having fast units that can get up the board really quickly enables you to start getting ahead on those primaries really quickly, so you're not chasing points in the end of the game, because you only have 4. You need to maximize your primary. Best case, you get 15 points over 3 rounds, and you only have 4 rounds that you can score. So if you miss an entire round of scoring, or if you score low on one round, you're chasing one of those rounds. You really have to catch up and play high. So having some speed in your army helps a ton, and that's what I'm guessing the Furies are there for, to just jump up. And they're of Nurgle. I don't know what Nurgle does, of either discussing resilient or the -1 hitting and shooting.
Discussing resilient.
Is that what they get from the mark of Nurgle? Yeah.
If they do get discussing resilient, then those Furies are a nice defensive unit that you can just shove onto an objective turn 1 because the Furies are fast, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I mean, after my very first game of 9th with Jeremy and with my Necrons, I realized that too. Like, you need to have a lot of infantry, and you need to have things that can hit the board hard. And like today, I finally realized. I talked to a few people, and they were like, I sent a few people lists, and I sent one into a Necron chat, and these guys were like, "Dude, where are your Ghost Arcs?" And I was like, "I don't get it. Why the fuck would I bring Ghost Arcs? Like, who cares? Like, I don't get it." And he's like, "You're bringing the Deceiver, and you can move D3 models with him, at least one, D3 units with him, and teleport them or automatically redeploy them anywhere on the board outside of 12 or 9 from enemy units, and they just can't charge turn 1. And you could put a Ghost Arc with 10 warriors in it, and then those 10, and that's actually 2 units, and just turn 1, like the Ghost Arcs can hop in, or can let go of the guys, hop in front of the guys, and then you have a bunch of Gauze Reaper shots you got to deal with." And I was like, fuck. Like, I was like, I didn't realize that. Like, that's a fantastic idea.
Like Jeremy and I are looking at just grabbing a Rhino and putting 2 5-year-old sister squads just to get those sisters up the board turn 1. Just like, just get there. Like,
almost like they thought about this, and they were like, "Yeah, dedicated transports."
Yeah. No, transports are great in 9th edition, because getting your defensive objective secured units up the board turn 1 so you can start scoring those primaries. Like, just if you get first turn, you move dedicated transports, block off the objectives, so they have to kill the transports and then the guys. You're scoring those objectives turn 1. Your opponent is off to a bad start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah. That's
the Space Marine tactic, right? You load up an impulsor with 10 intercessors and blast that sucker up to the middle of the board. Huh?
Six.
Impulsor
is the Rhino variant.
Repulsor is the one you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the repulsor. Yeah, the repulsor.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah, so you send that repulsor up the center, and then you got that big T8 tank sitting in the middle. It's an entire battleship of guns, and 10 tough dudes jump out and just kill the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It's
and then third place, we got Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Primaris Blood Angels. It's cool.
It's Blood Angels.
It's Primaris Blood Angels. They're using like mostly all the new like he has a big block of Sanguinary Guard. Death Company, not Sanguinary Guard. I wish it was Sanguinary Guard.
You know, there's something to be said for a guy named Bjorn running Blood Angels. It's kind of like when Vlad showed up, our good friend Vlad showed up to SoCal Open, and it's always on Halloween weekend, and he dressed up as Dracula and didn't have a Soul Blight or a Death Army. He was like, "Here's my beautiful Sylvan Army," and everyone's just like, "Dude."
Well, everyone, Alex was just like, "Dude." Yes. I mean,
everyone, mostly Alex.
Yeah.
Okay, come on. Am I not the only one that sees this? I feel like
I got really drunk and I said "dude" as well.
I mean, to be fair, the guy was dressed as a vampire that first year.
Yeah.
He was actually dressed in a vampire costume. Like that, like to me, that is showing the sense of humor right there. Like,
But
I'm just gonna own it. I'm gonna own it and dress like a vampire.
but much like Dracula, the vampire, who doesn't like losing, he didn't want to play Soulblight. So.
Yeah, they need something bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that like the top places finishing in that event, a lot of them were like basically a lot of close combat for the most part, right? Even Christoph had like a bunch of melee elements. Chaos Demon's definitely a bunch of melee elements. Bjorn had some melee elements.
Blood Angels with melee?
What? and then, but it's also, durable scoring units with like melee elements and some shooting elements that can remove very specific targets that you have a problem dealing with. Right? That's the key of 9th edition, because the edition, and I feel like if I'm a broken record at this point, somebody stop me. 9th edition is about proactive units, proactive objective scoring units. You do not want passive objective scoring units. And, I bet you if I scroll down to the bottom of the performance of this tournament, you're probably going to see a lot of passive aggressive scoring unit. Like, I actually don't even see a single top layer in this, so never mind. I was like,
Knights came in last.
Yeah, the only guy who got 5 losses was Imperial Knights.
Hey, so I gotta say though, if you look over everything, there's not a lot of variety in this tournament, but there is something to be said about the fact that of the top 10, 7 of them, there's 1 Iron Warrior player, 1 Chaos Demon player, 1 Death Guard player, and then 7 Imperium players.
Yeah, I mean,
well, 6 Imperium and Dark Angels.
Play me off, Johnny. And then, but I was gonna also, but look at the mixture of the entire event. It's almost like 65% like Imperium. I think that
it is. That's what I meant. Like, it is not a very diverse group of player base.
I think that's
looking at so many Imperium players.
Yeah, but more than half the factions in 40K are Imperium.
Yeah, but let me rephrase it. If you look at the event, there's not even a lot of Imperium.
I think there's only 2 Xeno players. I think there's like 2 Tyranid players, and that was it.
Yeah,
there's 1 cult mechanic. Okay, so we got 1 in terms of Imperium. We have. Oh shit! There might not be a lot of Xeno players.
No,
there's a lot of chaos.
Forces of the Hive Mind. Holy shit! Forces of the Hive Mind and a Tyranid player. Those are the only 2 Xeno players. What the fuck? Just like Storm of Silence, I think 2 years ago, when the only Eldar player was fucking, I think it was Ben Viscera, and then we just hear when he gets best Eldar, Ben Viscera walks up, and then Ben Schmoller from the background, you just hear him go, "Unfucking believable." This is like the height of like fuck shit Yanari Eldar, and there was 1 Eldar player, and mind you, that was like a 60-person event, so it's like whoa, hold on.
I mean, it's like when me getting Best Sisters at a lot of events. It was like I was Guardian Cup. I was like, woo, Best Sisters. Only sisters, but Best Sisters.
But that makes sense because there would be no sisters players.
Well, you
Eldar.
Like if you're best of 1, you still are the best of 1. Like it doesn't say
2-3.
It doesn't say best of 2 trophy. It's a best of.
To be fair, I have a lot of Dark Angels trophies like that too, but there was always at least 1 or 2 other sucky Dark Angels players there at the tournament with me. So
Same.
I do want to talk a little bit. I'm sorry, not related about the event, but like the overall weekend scores. Thanks to our lovely Data Monkey, and see if I can point to him. Cameron, where are you?
Here for me. So for our viewers, he'll be right here.
I'll be right here. Mr. Garrett, he gave me some good little bit of data. A little too late, but he gave me a little bit of data. I'm just giving you shit a little bit. Because I want to build this. I want to
You got the data. You got the data. Don't complain.
Data.
Show me the data. I'm hoping to do this on a weekly basis because I want to see one of the metrics I want to keep track of for 9th edition is the average gap between win-loss, basically points. So, and what I mean is today we have X amount of points on average for a win and X amount of points on average for a loss. And if the gap to see if the addition is healthy, you should see the gap close over time, not necessarily drastically, but you should see the gap close over time as people better figure out how to pick secondaries, figure out how to play the primaries better, and so forth and so forth. You'll see the gap close over time, right? So the top winners will go down on average on points, and the bottom, the losers on average will go up in points a little bit. Not a lot, but enough to like tell you the addition is alive and well. If you see
That's
the
interesting.
opposite,
So what you're saying is that if there's a reduced range of scores between the min and max, that represents a more competitive edition, meaning that it's more competitive at all levels rather than being, say, top-heavy competitive.
I will not say competitive because Games Workshop is a massive rules creep company, but I will say healthy because healthy means people have figured out how to like play the game effectively.
And the average player has figured it out.
Yes, like I want to translate competitive to healthy, but really at the end of the day, let's just go healthy because competitive. You'll always get people like me who chase like flavor of the month army, and because it's what the rules are written in a way that makes probably huge advantage to play this army in a tournament setting. Right? So I don't consider that a healthy behavior. Please help me. But I do consider that competitive behavior. All right. So for some, for some knowledge for the folks on the stream, for the 5-round events this weekend, we had an average of 84.1 points per win. So that means that there were basically 15 points shy of a max point per round. Sorry,
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. If 15, like being short 15 points for max points is very, very, very good.
Your average, that's really good.
Yeah. For a loss, it was only 55.8. So, there's a gap of like about 30 points. That's a huge gap. If that gap closes over the next few weeks down to maybe 25 points between, I think we're looking at like a very healthy meta, or at least a healthy competitive scene. But if you look at the overall, like basically including the 3-day events, it kind of gets closer, which is good. You're looking at actually it doesn't. When you're looking at wins, it's like a 75.3. So it come down from 85 to 75. But when you're looking at losses, it went down from 55 to 42 points on average. So got some climbing to do out of here. I expect, unfortunately, I don't have visibility in this data, but my theory is that the win points are basically mostly carried by the ability of the winners being better choosers of secondaries against their opponents than their opponents were of choosing, their secondaries. And I think over time, that will be addressed as people get more experience, play the game more, obviously listen to our podcast, and then, better understand which secondaries they're supposed to play and what mission, especially what types of army they're playing. So yeah, and then, but if not, because I'm guessing most of the winners had like probably maxed out primaries, right? There's also the possibility that the more players figure out better ways to play the primary as armies change for 9th edition to be more about proactive objective scoring. You'll probably see, the primary get uplifted a little bit. Because, effectively, if you think about losses at like on average being 42 points, that means that if they max out, well, they didn't max out the primary, but if they at least got 30 points of the primary, they only got like 12 points out of their secondaries, which is like nothing. So like these aren't like, and keep in mind, guys, like this edition really does not play very well about just destroying your opponent. It plays very well about like scoring points and getting on the board, and that's what it's designed for. And if that, the point discrepancy is that high, it probably means we still have a lot of players who just haven't changed that mentality yet. They're probably still trying to play the game like it was in 9th edition, which is, I'll just table my opponent and win, right? Well, unfortunately, like it's a lot harder to table your opponent now that there's actual terrain rules and probably people who have figured out ways to get up the board really fast early, like and then you're basically playing catch up for the rest of the game, even if you table them.
I think a big thing for that actually is the fact that the game is only 5 rounds, because that's one thing I've noticed, especially since you can't score on turn 1 for your primary.
Yep.
It means you only have 4 scoring turns. So a lot of the TTS games I've played, like one of my first games, I played against Ben Viscara, and he was bringing a guard artillery list. Great at murdering. I actually was basically tabled by the end. But he had no points because I prevented him from scoring the primary for most of the game. And I scored the primary. I maxed out my primary by turn 4.
Is tabling an automatic loss still?
Nope.
No.
It's like Age of Sigmar.
Fucking hooray. Games Workshop thought about that.
Yeah.
So I like a killing-based army was great at murdering me, but he couldn't push up the table at all. I was constantly pinning him.
Good luck scoring the game, nerd.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I scored the objectives better than him. And so he didn't max out the primary, and it ended up being like an 86-50 game. I beat him
to
to
put
it
great. And if I may, one of the things you have to look at is there's a very non-binary nature, whereas in all previous most previous editions, both players could score the same score each round. But in this edition, as you're winning the round, you are getting substantially more points than your opponent is. And so there is a built-in sort of mechanism to the scores that's going to automatically create like a 30% spread, minimum 30% spread between a consistently winning the round player versus a consistently losing the round player.
Yeah. I was going to mention there's also one of the metric I think that was really important in 8th edition that we probably are not going to care as much in 9th editions. How many of the winners went first? I think going first in this edition is not as important as it used to be. It is definitely an advantage for the first turn or second turn scoring on primaries because you're basically able to position yourself on the board, prevent your opponent from positioning. But I don't know, like all the games of 40K I've played so far in 9th edition, I've had like little to zero care or impact by going who's the first guy going first or second. Like it doesn't make a huge difference. At least
terrain makes a big deal.
If there's enough terrain, then it doesn't make a big difference. I will say that.
Yeah, of course.
But think about some previous editions where you actually wanted to go second. Like towards the end of 8th, it was you had to go first because it was so alpha strikey. But if we roll back to mid 7th, then there was a super strong argument for going second in a lot of games.
God, 5th edition, where all objective scoring was end of game scoring, going second was literally king.
Oh, yeah.
It's just Eldar jet fight onto the objectives. Yeah. No, I mean, terrain's a big deal. I think a big part of it is people need to refigure out terrain, and I feel like they're doing that. And that helps a ton. And like one of the things I wanted to talk about was, as Jeremy was talking about, the data overall of the events, how scoring worked. Because if we go back to when the edition first dropped and people first started playing 9th edition, a lot of the scores were like in the 90s to 100s up at the top.
Yeah.
And I was looking at that data and I was like, holy crap. Because like, I mean, I'm new to 40K and like I was by no means an expert when I was trying to jump in, but I was like, looking at the ways objectives are scored, getting 100 looks ridiculously hard. Like it should be very difficult to max out your secondaries. Like hell, one of the secondaries most people are looking at is deploy scramblers, which you could only get a 10 on. You can't get a 15. But people are like, that's an easy 10 points, which is really good because most people aren't going to max out everything. So 10 out of 15 of one of your secondaries is very potent, which is why people like to play scramblers. But that means the most you can get would be a 95. And so,
and there's a few secondaries where you're not going to score the max.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like, it was really interesting seeing a lot of 100s and high 90s, low 90s, like a lot of, like, I think the average on release was like winners would be getting 85 to 95. That's with your 10%. It was like 85 was, again, 85 feels like a high for an average to me because that means there's a lot of still 90s and 100s. And I'm curious to see how they're getting those 90s to 100s. It'll be nice once people start using scoring forms like ITC battles or BCP to actually enter the secondaries that they're taking and how many secondary points versus primary points they're getting. So we can look at that data. But I am noticing a trend that, like, this tournament, if you look at it, other than the guy in first place, most people had a lot of 80s, like 85s and 86s up at the top tables. Those I'm more comfortable with, because that's a 15-point drop. That means you may have missed 5 primary points plus a couple of secondaries. It's not like just straight up you got because if you table somebody, you don't get max points. The way the rules work is you have to get every point you possibly could still get.
Yeah, you have to actually go, well, just like Age of Sigmar, you have to actually go and you may have tabled your opponent, but then you have to go score those points.
Yeah, yep. And I was like, it's interesting to me because playing the game more, if 40K went to 6 turns, the primary points, everyone would get max points, I feel like. Or else, unless you tabled your opponent or whatever. Because the fact that it's only a 5-turn game, which means you have 4 scoring opportunities, you are not maxing out your primary many games. Like a 40 is a good primary max on a close game, a 35 to 40, because your opponent, if your opponent denies you 2 turns of getting like max points, then you can still max out. But it's like,
that's why I thought the average would have been down like 60 or something.
Or say even 80 to 75 to 80 feels like a comfortable number to me. Like that win average, I feel like needs to be dragged down to a 75 to 80 because people should not.
It needs to go down to a 65. Because on that,
65 is still low because like if you get you have 45 possible, well, you have 10 points. So if you think about it, a 65 becomes a 55 because everybody. Let's just assume everyone has 10 points.
I'm just thinking from flow of order. It's you should only be scoring primary 5 on turn 2, in a good like matchups. People playing objectives, blocking each other. 5 on turn 2, 5 on turn 3, and then depending on how the shaping up of like the attrition over the game, then it's possibly 10 on turn 3, 10 on turn 4, and then maybe 15 on turn 5. But you're only looking at 35 points on the primary in total.
I would say
maybe another 30 in secondary.
I disagree with that. I feel
which, if I may, real quick, puts you at 75 with the 10 points from painting, which is kind of what Garrett's saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's 75.
So real quick.
I actually disagree that you should. Go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say, parallel non sequitur. Do the main rulebook missions? They are drastically different than the Munitorum ones for the tournament.
They're a little bit. Well, there's more missions in the GT handbook, and there are some of the missions that do exist in both. There are some minutia details inside them, but
because I only have the rulebook, I don't have the Munitorum yet, and I know that you had misplaced yours, Jeremy. And John, is it on the app?
No.
Ooh, no, I don't think that's on the app. They just barely put the complete core rule book on the app because that wasn't there originally.
Is it now on the full core rule book?
The full core rule book is now on the
app. Whoever developed the Age of Sigmar app, just come back to Games Workshop. Just to help them with their app. The fucking 40K app, I refuse to buy it. It's still bad.
Yeah, same team, but I don't think any of the people that were like, it's the same team.
It's the same team?
It is. The big difference, guys, is in the AOS app, we have access to the full Age of Sigmar Army Battle Tome. So we have the fluff, we have the pictures. As we flip through it, it looks exactly like our physical book. And so, like, and this, you guys know how this works. You know, we're very pattern recognition. You find the same pages and the same things are easy to read because they look the same in the app and on the physical book. But in the 40K app, it is all text breakdown. And it's laid out, like when you go into an army, it's actually done in these arbitrary sections and data sheets. And so I find it works. It works, but it's not as really like the AOS app. If you haven't used it, if you don't play AOS, it really is a slick app because as my co-host will say, right? It has every rule for every unit, all the battalions, all the terrain, all the special stuff.
If we were to break
automatically, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, no, sorry, no, automatically what?
Oh, automatically is for everybody free and available, and then you can purchase all of the books themselves.
Exactly. So, like, why can't Games Workshop do this? I'm just gonna say this, and like, hopefully, in ether, it like catches some fucking dude's ear in Nottingham. For our 40K listeners, you know, if you were to use, if the 40K app was exactly like the AOS app, but for 40K, you could be, say, a Space Marine player playing up against a Harlequin player, and you don't know anything about Harlequins. You might not be able, you will have to ask your opponent about, okay, I'm not angry, for the record, because there's a chick.
Passionate. He's getting passionate.
No, I'm getting passionate. Okay, or I'm getting all caps, if you will. So
there we are.
Anyways, if you're a Space Marine player and you're playing against Harlequins and you don't know what their core abilities are, you can ask your opponent, unless you've downloaded and purchased for like $20 maybe the codex, you know, Harlequins on the app. Then you would have access to the Harlequin codex and you'd be able to pull up their rules, etc. But if the 40K app was anything like the Age of Sigmar app, then what you could do is you could take a look and you can type in keyword, you know, a keyword like Harlequins, and you can see, or you could search, filter through Harlequins keyword, and it'll show you every single unit with the keyword Harlequin or troop or whatever. And then you can look through each one of their data slates individually, because every single legal and illegal data slate in the game would be available to you for free in one all-encompassing app. There'd also be a possible list building tool that's not as good as a possible list building tool that's done for free elsewhere, whether it be Battlescribe or List Builder that's on the Warhammer community site. Then you would have the ability to save your army. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am now all caps. What you could do is you could have like your army, or even save your opponent's army. If you're at lunch and you're drinking, you're cutting back a few drinks and you're hanging out and you already see the list in BCP of your opponent's army, you could theoretically hit that little symbol in the top corner of the page to save unit to your army. You could have your opponents, all of your Harlequin opponents' fucking data slates right there for you on the app. And as you go on, he starts moving those units and you go, okay, he's moving that unit. What is that? Oh, it's a solitaire. What does solitaire do? Oh, shit. Okay, cool. Like, I know this.
20-inch move kills your whole army. You got it.
12-inch move kills the whole army. Hey,
or just fails every charge.
What's your cacophony or some shit? Like, what's your faction bonus, your sub-faction bonus? Oh, okay. And then you can draw your own goddamn conclusions. It's not going to be a fucking Google Doc or PDF.
Like most players, if you play against, you don't need to do that. Like most people, you don't care, right? But we've all been at tournaments. We've all even been at the local game store. And the guy, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's new to the army and doesn't seem to consistently be remembering the rules. Sometimes it's nice to check him on it. In fact, I'm going to put it out there. You check your opponent on a rule and you catch them getting it wrong, they tighten up for the rest of the game. That's how you prevent some loose play.
So I'm just going to come at this from a developer standpoint. In defense of the 40K app, 40K has the existence of USRs and unit options, which are non-existent in the Age of Sigmar.
There are no USRs anymore.
Army-wide USRs.
Army-wide USRs.
Army-wide USRs.
Game-wide USRs.
No, there's no game-wide USRs, but there's army-wide USRs. Like, for example,
wait. Can we just appreciate that? Hey, Alex, what does USR stand for?
Universal Special Rule.
No, it's Unit Special Rule. It's never.
It did exist. It was called Universal Special Rule back when there was like 12 pages of that.
3 editions ago.
So, in defense of the 40K app, like this podcast is taking quite a turn, but in defense of the 40K app, there are army-wide universal special rules. Like, for example, Sisters of Battle, they all have the Shield of Faith rule. What the fuck is the Shield of Faith rule? Age of Sigmar doesn't have something like that.
What? They're called allegiance.
Yeah, it's called an allegiance abilities.
Those are not on the data sheet. Those are not implicitly on the war scroll. Those are not a war scroll ability.
Okay,
Yeah,
those
there's
are
no
a
keyboard
book ability.
name.
Garrett,
Yeah,
I love you to
I'm
death.
I'm
but I
gonna,
feel
I'm
like
gonna
you're
call
picking,
you. Like, yeah.
I
Go,
feel
Alex,
like
you
you're
tell
picking
him.
fly shit out of pepper on this one.
Okay,
No.
I'm not done. And in
Okay.
addition,
Let's do this.
there's unit options, like things like different weapon options and things like
Oh
that.
yeah.
You can't just, it's not like Age of Sigmar where the war scroll has every rule on it. Like these are the only options. You have universal weapons that you have to point to. There's a lot more universally linking rules that makes it so you can't just release an app that just says, well, here's everything, here's every
disagree
option.
with that logic. It's not a dev. I'm still don't think it's a dev issue, and I'm gonna take like Garrett's like stance. Like I don't, in defense of the 40K app, I don't think it's a dev issue. I think it's a GW. Whoever they appointed to be the overall project manager for this app from their end was, if he's not fired by now, he should be fucking fired.
Have you guys seen the meme where there's like music going on? Usually it's like someone doing something professionally, and then when you do it, and then there's like music in the background, and it's like something nice. It's like a professional like soundbite to a song, and then it's you doing it, and it's like the shitty flute thing, but it's like all the wrong notes. I feel like that's what happened between the AOS app and the 40K. I cannot wait to fucking bust out my shit. It's just so, I hate the app.
Like I have to say to like Warhammer community comes out with this article that says we have a new update, and it's like,
it took what, 6 days.
No,
took 6 days.
Literally took 7. I think it's a full 7 days for it to come up on iOS. Like iOS did not like the Warhammer.
Keep in mind that update was like due like 2 months before then, right? It was like something like it was due like a week before 9th edition dropped, and then they just basically said we're too busy with 40K app, we can't get to it. Sorry, which is fine. At least they apologized. But then it's a paid service, so they didn't give. Did they even give us a free Azure month like at all? No, which is bullshit.
And then you were supposed to get a free month in the 40K app. I think I ended up paying.
I'm gonna interject real quick. Fuck Apple and Google, giving free, like refunding your own customers and giving your own customers like helping them out. Google and Apple don't let you do that. Like they don't. Like if I as an Apple developer want to give one of my users a refund, I'm not allowed to do that. I have to tell them, go to Apple and ask for a refund. That is the only recourse. So in defense of GW, they're not allowed to do that.
Well,
okay.
I can't defend them, Gary. Come on. Like first, they broke the cardinal rule of app development, right? Which is basically having paid content linked outside of the app. Secondly, the app. Keep in mind, the 40K app was announced in 8th edition, like a couple months. Like look forward to the 40K app releasing, and it's clear to me, like, don't get me wrong, the app, the overall design, the vision of it, I see it. But whoever was the project manager for that app, or whoever was the deciders or the stakeholders that got to say the final say on every iteration of it, were basically probably sent the devs back to the scratching, like the design board, every time. Because this app was obviously not finished, even though it's been in development for multiple years.
No,
and
it's been in development for the last 2 months. It started development 2 months ago.
No. They have a lot of development debt, aka they've basically been developing a lot of apps that never went to prime time, because I'm guessing the upper ups at the GWs were like, no, we don't like this design, or we don't like this flow, or whatever, and they're picking us something, and they basically had to redo it from scratch. And because I don't think GW has an in-house digital design team. I don't think they do.
They need a UX developer. That's what they need.
Yeah, they don't, or an in-house. Yeah, they don't have an in-house. So basically, every decision that was made about an integral reason behind UX was made by an executive, and probably not an expert. And I can probably bet you there's been a lot of attrition on that whoever designed
Okay,
the
well then maybe the executives need to just like work for Privateer Press or some shit. I don't give a fuck.
It shows it. And if I may, It shows. So I would like to, and I think we're getting ready to wrap up, right, Alex?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that fair to say?
absolutely.
So
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
finish. I'm gonna finish with a small story, as I like to do, and and this is of course a
John's
complete
story time.
non sequitur, but it's John's story time. Back in the 80s, the game Defender. So you guys may have heard of the game Defender. It's one of the most
Yeah.
popular coin-op video games ever released. Defender.
I have not.
So part of the developer team for Defender had a young programmer, a teenager. I think he was 17 or 16 at the time. A guy by the name of Bill Gates, working on one of his first programming jobs.
Mhm.
And in this old coin-op video game, Defender, they had 512K total memory to work with, and that had to handle the entire program. And they only started work on it a few months before the actual show where they wanted to release it. And so they're there and they're actually working on this, and they go to Bill and they're like, he was, in charge of programming, and say, okay, what have you done? And he says, so I used, whatever, 384K, and I made these little spacemen, and these spacemen move around on the planet's surface, and they float and have physics and have gravity, and they can all move around. And they said, wait, what? You've used up more than half the resources and more than half the time to develop the game, and all we have are little spacemen floating around on the surface? They panicked. They wrote the rest of the game, and because they didn't have enough memory to write a bunch of missions or what have you, all they did was crank up the speed and make more and more of the same few enemies that they had memory for, and release the game. And of course, it went on to be a hit, one of the most popular video games, coin-op video games of all time. And at times, I'm looking at this game and I'm picturing GW on their website. They do the press release. Look forward to our new GW app. It's going to be amazing. And then they go to the dev team and say, guys, what do you got? And they're like, look at when the app launches, it does this cool splash screen with the new 40K logo.
Yeah.
That is literally app development in a nutshell.
I hate this so much. Okay, well, Games Workshop,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get a dime from me for this goddamn app until you improve it.
Well, it's been they're already past their deadline too. Didn't they have they posted up a roadmap? They posted up a roadmap like a few weeks ago after Night came out because people were so pissed about the app, and I think they're behind on their roadmap now. Pretty sure.
I mean, they
never make a
they're
roadmap.
They're not behind.
No,
they're maybe
never
like
make a
week
roadmap.
behind, but like they promised us a better way of
Make a roadmap.
finding
Don't
data
publicize
sheets,
it.
And I'm like, what? I finally got I wanted to download the new version. I was so eager for the new version.
Yeah.
They said, check mark. We got new ways of searching data sheets. I'm like, ooh, I'm excited to see what this was. I don't know what it was. I still
Well,
can't
it's
figure out what
scrolling.
they
The
did.
scrolling didn't work well before. Now it's worked smoothly.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I know
Yeah.
that's bullshit because they just use the UI table view controller.
I just
I don't like that at all. But
Games
what
Workshop's not a tech company, guys. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of learning to do. Maybe they should call Elon Musk. He's always looking for new projects.
All this trash aside, I honestly have been using the app,
Oh,
and I have at least been finding it useful for looking up unit rules and faction rules.
I will say, as somebody who didn't play 8th edition, I subscribed, and I love that I subscribed because I have access to every 8th edition unit rule and faction rule. So, like when I'm playing Paul, he uses these Tau bullshit rules, and I'm like, let me look up these Tau bullshit rules, Paul. Oh, okay, they are Tau bullshit rules. Or I'm playing Jeremy, and he's using some weird Harlequin shit. I'm like, let me look up this weird Harlequin shit.
the fuck this Harlequin shit does?
So having access to every 8th edition rule in the game for $5 a month is completely worth it to me.
Poke it like a true sister of Battle Player. Fucking
I gotta say, if you're gonna, give something a review, if you're gonna try to subscribe to something, I personally don't feel like the Games Workshop 40K app is something that you should do. You shouldn't subscribe, you shouldn't like it, you shouldn't review it. But you should like, subscribe, and review the In Your Face podcast, you guys. So, we're on Apple Podcast. We're still kind of waiting to be on Spotify. And we're definitely on Podbean, Facebook. You can see us on Twitter. And we got a few other things rolling out in the next week or so. So be sure to listen in. You can give us a review, and we actually will try to improve on things with UI if we had a UI issue, which we don't, which is fine. It's not a problem. We're not building an app here yet, so it's not an issue. However, if we did, we just yell at Garrett to do something, so it's not a problem. But in the meantime, again, give us a like, give us a review. If you want to talk shit in a review, perfectly fine. If you want to tell us something that you want to see, that's perfectly fine as well. Maybe we'll read one off on the page. Maybe we won't. Who knows? It's all up to us anyways. So with that being said, this is going to be Alex, John, Jeremy, and Garrett signing off for the night. You guys have a good evening.
Night, Paul.
Bye.